more and more U.S. consumers are starting to cut back spending amid high prices on nearly all goods and experiences. Concerts and live shows, no different. Ticket prices have simply soared in the United States in recent years. U.S. President Trump has signed an executive order in an effort to crack down on ticket scalping. He was joined recently in the Oval Office by Kid Rock as he signed an order to protect music fans from overpaying for their ticket prices.
Maybe the artist a little bit, but the fans a lot. I've spoken to them over the years about it, and it's been, it bothers him. It bothers a lot of other artists too.
It does.
The artists, and they go out with a $100 ticket and it sells for $2,000 the following night.
Yeah, the impetus for this order, a January congressional hearing where ticket giant Live Nation was grilled over Taylor Swift ticket bot debacle back in 2023. Now, to explain more about why ticket scalping is a hot button political issue and how this order could perhaps solve or at least reduce some price gouging, we're joined by John Fishwick Jr., a trial lawyer and former U.S. attorney for the Western District of Virginia. Welcome to the program. Good to see you.
Good to see you, Sean.
Okay, now for years there have been concerns over what many fans consider ticket gouging. There was a measure approved just last year to address the problem. So how does Trump's executive order differ? And what everybody wants to know, is there going to be a difference, a solution?
Well, Trump's executive order focuses on two things, Sean. One is there's a thing called the Bots Act, which is a way of a federal government says, look, if bots buy a bunch of tickets, we don't want them doing that. That's illegal. And then they sell them on the resale market. And so President Trump wants the FTC to crack down on that through the Bots Act. And he also wants the Attorney General to crack down on, income taxes for these resale markets. And so surprisingly in this area, both Biden and Trump are kind of on the same page. I think Biden's administration wanted to do something about the price gouging, about the fees that are on tickets. And Trump seems to be making this at least somewhat of a focus when he signed this executive order with Kid Rock. So I think Trump's is a little different from Biden's. Biden's was brought by DOJ. Trump is doing this through executive order, but nonetheless, this is a big problem. The Taylor Swift concerts really show that, where tickets are resold for thousands of dollars. So it's a big problem. I think both the left and the right agree that something needs to be done about it.
Yeah, John, and it's not just Taylor Swift. I mean, virtually any hot ticket out there. If you go to an event, a concert, a popular show, you see those tickets going for sale for $100. And as Trump said, they get scooped up and online. You can go through an online entity and suddenly it's a staggering $2,000. How does that happen?
Well, it happens because the resale market, particularly for these elite concerts. Now, Biden's DOJ has brought an antitrust suit against Live Nation and Ticketmaster. The Trump DOJ has not decided really officially if they're going to pick up the baton on that. But the Biden case was these two entities basically controlled most of the concert venues. They controlled all the tickets that were sold, and therefore that caused through monopolistic practices for the price of tickets to go up. So that's a significant case. I don't think we know yet whether the Trump team is going to go forward with that case. Obviously, Live Nation and Ticketmaster hope it gets dropped, but time will tell what happens there. But I think Trump is also focused on the inflation of these tickets. It's a real problem for people across the country. In 1996, if you went to a top 100 concert, it cost $25. The average price today is $135 for that same ticket. So there's been a real increase in prices, and I think most consumers are very frustrated by it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would pay $135. It's those exorbitant prices because many fans and a lot of artists, Kid Rock, Bruce Springsteen, Taylor Swift, they're all pointing the finger at entities such as Ticketmaster and, as you mentioned, its parent company, Live Nation, that do basically hold a monopoly on sales. However, Ticketmaster says, whoa, it's not our company's fault, rather the scalpers and those bots that you were talking about. Do you think that's true?
Well, I'm not sure anybody's got clean hands in this area. Obviously, Live Nation and Ticketmaster have a huge chunk of the market here. So, the DOJ case says those practices, that huge market share means prices are going up. But the bots are a real problem. These resale companies are a real problem. They can buy, hundreds of tickets today for $50 and then resell them for $300-400 the next day. And so that does cause inflation, causes the prices to go up. And there's a really unfair advantage to them. So there's real problems here. It hasn't been cured, but I do think it's a positive thing that really both the left and the right want to do something about it. It's not going to be easy. Anytime you're dealing with a resale market and kind of some shady characters, I think it's going to be tough to run them all down.
Yeah, talk about the Bots Act a bit more, because clearly buying those tickets is a big problem. And what can be done. I mean, a law is on the books. How hard is it to enforce this?
Well, I think it is tough to enforce. I mean, anytime you're dealing with bots, who's running that bot, where do those tickets go to, and tracking all of that down. I think shady characters know how to kind of manipulate scrutiny. But Trump's team is saying they want to make this more of a priority. So hopefully they will, and they'll be to run down some of these shady characters and lower prices. Time will tell if they'll have success with that. The Biden administration made efforts here as well. But so far, ticket prices don't seem to be going down, particularly for kind of the elite performer. That's where you see things off the charts.
Yeah, that's kind of what I want to get to, because anybody watching this is like probably waiting, I want some good news. Is this going to make a difference? Is there any way to tell folks out there, you know what, help is on the way. Things are going to get better.
Well, Sean, certainly some help is on the way. I mean, he is making this somewhat of a priority by signing this executive order and instructing the FTC and the Attorney General's office to make this a priority. And so that can't hurt. And so I think particularly as relates to the bots, I mean, somebody is coming after them. And so hopefully something will crack down on that. And that's one of the probably the most unscrupulous parts of the market, where the bots are buying, hundreds of tickets and then flipping them immediately for gross profits for them. So I think at least as relates to the bots, Trump is coming after them. So that will at least at some level help folks lower ticket prices.
Gotcha. Okay, John, in reading about this too, I also read about the push for a cap on ticket resales, or even a ban on resales for certain shows. Is that doable?
I think that's a slippery slope. I mean, on the one hand, then you're leaving it with all the big, the big box folks who then would control all the tickets. There wouldn't be any resale values, and then you've got to be concerned, that they would then increase their tickets because there is no resale for them. And then I think it's just a slippery slope when you start telling folks they can't sell something, that there's no resale value on a national basis. I think that becomes a problem just kind of legally, and how you enforce that, and how would that affect other industries. So I think if you're going to an elite concert, you'd love it that they can't be resold and that you can get your Taylor Swift ticket for $100. But I think it's going to be a hard law to pass, and I think I'm not sure it would cure all these problems, even if it was.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised to see that, John. Good stuff, though. John Fishwick, Jr., thank you so much for your insight.
Thank you.